I just sent him one, but might as well spam him. Hello.
He's just not going to join. He's in a couple different places over this week or so. So one of them was Arizona, but I don't know if that was today.
Oh, I wanted you to read
This whole thing, this is her latest.
Do you think she's gonna come today and say that? I know, I'm curious too. I feel like she will. Hello. How are you doing?
I had to leave my fan down.
Maybe you can join him.
Do you need
again.
the
Maybe you can join him again.
So if you want to borrow this situation, it does. I feel like it does make it easy mid-meeting. They are. Josh just joined. Sophia's, you can see as the host, but then once we turn the mics on and say hi to him and he talks, then his video will pop up. Yeah, that's how that works. So right now, no one's talked, so it just shows the room.
Almost. We got a couple minutes. Yeah, we trust our computers better.
What'd you say? I'll write a note to ask for a mouse too.
Well, yeah, we used to be called the Stockton Bridge Grill. Because people wouldn't know what the Stockton Bridge is. I think it's just. And it says west. Yeah, right. But this, I know, but it says Capitola Bridge West is closed.
The Capitola Bridge is a Capitola Avenue
Okay,
right now.
that's it. It's 6 o'clock. All right. Sophia, you ready? Okay. All right, welcome. Being 6 o'clock, welcome to the St. Patrick's Day meeting of the Soquel Creek Water District. And let's see, we have a couple of remote attendees. Josh Nelson, our legal counsel, Cameron Tanna from Montgomery & Associates, and Spencer Waterman from Water Systems Consulting will all be showing up on the screen. And then just make sure, directors, that you speak into your microphones when you're talking. I'm trying my best here. And so Dr. Jaffe is not here tonight, but we will do roll call first.
Director Balboni.
Here.
Vice President Christensen. Director Lather.
Here.
Director Jaffe is absent. And President LaHue.
I am here. All right. Next would be any adjustments to the agenda. And I'll ask the directors if they have anything. I have one actually, but no?
On the consent items, I wanted to ask some questions about the West Annex.
Well, I want to remove that one for discussion.
Perfect.
So is that okay?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
I think we're all in agreement on that one.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I really appreciate pulling the West Annex item. I think that's 4.2.
Okay. So we will, let's see, next we have an opportunity for public comment on items that are not on tonight's agenda. So now would be the time. Becky?
Thank you, Becky Steinbrenner. I only want to make one brief comment that in looking at the agenda online, I really appreciate that there's a sidebar on the left where you can click and go directly to that item in the agenda. The documents come up. It was a little confusing today to see this meeting listed as February 17th, so you might want to take a look at that. But it's a very good format. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Maybe that was the minutes.
Just to highlight that, it was just right below that. That date was March 17th, and today is March 17th.
Maybe it was,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, okay.
Okay.
We'll check that. Good. All right. So thank you, Emma, for that, for the format, if that's making it easier for people. I think it's working for us too. So, okay. Consent then will be the next item, except for 4.2. So it'll be just 4.1 and 4.3.
Oh. Well, I'll move to approve the.
I'll second.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, sorry,
Not-
she's right. I forgot. It was only public comment,
public
on,
comment
on the consent agenda items. Sorry, thank you.
Sorry about that.
Yep. All right. Seeing none, we will move forward.
I'll move on the remaining items on the
And I'll second those remaining items.
consent agenda.
Okay, and then roll call, please.
Do we have
No,
to do roll
we don't
call?
have to do roll call.
Yeah, voice vote's fine.
Right. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Those two consent items are good to go. We'll move on to reports. District Council, are you up there?
I'm here, President Leahy. I don't have a report this evening. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for being here in case we need you. And then we move to 5.2. There's several district updates.
Yes, as you recall, we've moved the standing district reports into this section here. We're available for questions. Contained in this section is our special board assignment list, as well as a new feature that we're doing, which is this month we'll have the first bi-monthly of the engineering and operations department update.
Okay. And is there any public comment on reports?
And the finance report, sorry.
All right. Seeing no comment on the reports. Any board discussion on
Wait,
the?
I have one comment on the
Yeah.
aquifer indicator, because I did punch the button because we were talking about that item we were talking about A, administration under aquifer indicator. And I checked that, I looked at the Mid-County groundwater place of what their discussion was, but I thought it was a little bit complicated for what the original intention was, which was a drive-by to let people know that it would be pretty hard to sort through that. And it is a complicated, that's why we haven't done it, because it is complex and difficult to do, but I don't think it's a substitute for what we were looking for. But it is interesting for anyone who's interested. It's called the Sustainability Dashboard for the Santa Cruz Mid-County Groundwater Agency. So that's an update of what's been the progress that we've been making.
Anyone else? Okay, I have a couple things about the engineering and operations and maintenance report. I have a couple of questions. And first of all, just thank you for the formatting. I think it's super clear, easy to follow what's going on. So I know there's been a lot of effort to kind of streamlining and clarifying, and kind of neat to do operations and engineering together because they work together a lot. So thank you for that. Couple questions. This is just my ignorance. Sorry about this, but and maybe Taj, you can answer this. It's just when I'm looking at things that are post-construction, and then it'll say as-built drawing in progress. Can you explain that?
Yeah, when it's post-construction, we're basically off the street, but we're still working on the project to close it out. So there's effort put forth to prepare as-built drawings and map it in our system. And
So as-built drawings means you're just putting it in our system.
Correct.
So that we have records of it all. Okay.
memorializing changes.
Yeah.
Record drawings, as-built.
Okay.
Yeah, the drawings.
Got it.
Because it's not exactly the way it's.
Okay, and then I guess I had a question on the country club well, is how testing went for 123 TCP on the new well.
The testing we've done so far is positive. It's good.
Good.
But we do need to put it in service for a little longer duration.
Okay.
And so we expect the state to award our permit, approve our permit, and we could probably get it online by the end of the month, we hope.
Okay, great.
It's in their court right now.
All right, excellent. And then my final thing is just, I keep driving by and wondering when that final logo is
Tomorrow.
going up. Tomorrow, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, this is on Pure Water
Drive
SoCal.
by in a day or so.
Okay, okay, awesome.
It'll be
And I'm
nice.
driving by with my son today, and
We all do that.
yeah. Okay. that is all I have on the report questions. Sorry about all those. All right, and then, so I guess we will continue with the business items now. And let's see. First one is the conditional will serve. Okay, so Taj, that's you.
It is. Good evening. We have the applicant in the audience tonight. If there are any specific questions for this, it is a proposal to do a lot split for a pretty large parcel, about 12 acres, into 3 parcels with one large open space parcel of about 11.3 acres. The first project or parcel is proposed to have 2 single-family homes and 6 condos. And then the other one on Bar Harbor Court is proposed to have 4 condos. And this is all within an area that we have water mains, so we're not anticipating any, main extensions or anything like that. We'll, if as the project gets developed further and they need a hydrant or something, then we'll work with them to do that. Of course, all those costs are borne by the developer. And so it's early on in the stages here. It's just a conditional will serve letter for these, for as I described it.
Any public comment on this item? Okay, seeing none. Board questions, comments, motions, any of those things?
Just a quick comment. I understand that the county and the Coastal Commission review is further, further ahead, but I'm kind of not persuaded that looking at the pipe frontage and pressure is enough for this 12-unit proposal. So in light of the current seawater intrusion that we have there, attention to groundwater sustainability and net pumping, I would need closer cumulative and basin context analysis before approving additional conditional service here. That's kind of how I'm feeling.
Yeah. Any other comments or questions? One, just for, if you guys know where Seascape Village is, it's just right across the street from that. And then that undeveloped portion is like a ravine. So
Is that what it is?
It would never be. It would never be developed. There's no way.
Oh, so it says remainder lot 3, so there's no development going on there.
Yeah, but there's no. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I know, I'm not familiar with that area.
Yeah, water flows through there.
Oh, that's good. Looks like
okay. Any motions or?
Are there any comments? Oh, you already asked. Okay. I'll move then to approve the conditional will serve.
Okay. Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, the next business item is approval of the customer assistance program. So Leslie, go for it. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, we have long wanted to put something in place to assist our customers who are struggling with affordability issues in our district service area. And we did participate in the state's low-income household water assistance program that they rolled out during COVID. And I know that helped quite a few customers, but the funding for that program went away. So we didn't have anything that we could utilize to fund our own program. You cannot use rate revenue derived from rates to fund a low-income assistance program. So we were able to identify some funding in our penalties and fees revenue that we can set aside for funding a low-income assistance program. So what we're proposing is that we begin this program with a $50 a month credit for qualifying customers on their water bill. It would reduce their monthly service charge by approximately half for a 5/8 inch meter. We expect that it's difficult for us to assess how many customers would apply or how many customers would qualify in the district. We were able to get some rough percentages from the county on how many customers typically qualify for their CalFresh program. And then we tried to extrapolate that over the district's population. We usually only see less than a 50% uptake, though, on assistance programs. So even though they may be eligible for a CalFresh program, they don't get that many applicants for them. So we're hoping this $50 credit will meet our customer need, but we plan on reassessing this going forward. We'll look at it here in a few months after we get the program implemented. We'll look at it again annually and determine if any of that needs to be adjusted to make sure that we're serving as many people as we can. We bring in roughly $90,000 to $100,000 a year in penalty and fee revenue that can be used to fund this program. We will be setting aside any revenue that we have brought in penalties and fees this year and rolling it over and establishing that original bucket from which to draw. The other thing we're looking at is we did look at various agencies in the district or in the county to see what they were doing in terms of program assistance programs. And we were able to find that San Lorenzo Valley had a very effective program. So we used a lot of information from their program to develop ours. We looked at some eligibility requirements. We would like to make sure so that we don't have to do that administrative task of evaluating whether somebody qualifies income-wise for a program like this. We have tied it to the PG&E CARES program. So if they qualify for the CARES program, they can bring that in and qualify for our program. But there are also tenants out there who may not have a PG&E bill in their name. So that's why we also tied it to a CalFresh SNAP program so that we can try and meet those tenants that may not have electric service in their name. So in order to qualify, they must be the account holder of record. So that limits us to residential accounts that are individually metered. They do need to have this be their primary residence. So if it's a vacation home or rental property, it wouldn't qualify. The account must be in good standing. So they must have their account current or they must be on some sort of payment plan with us to bring their account, past due account up to date. And then we are also asking that they be enrolled in WaterSmart and in our auto pay program. So if they meet all of those criteria, they would qualify for the $50 a month. Enrollment is on a first come, first served basis until we determine whether or not we have enough revenue coming in to meet the need for the program. So, like I said, we estimate that between 73 and 220 accounts may qualify and apply for such a program. We anticipate that we can serve 170 households with this program. So hopefully we're in that sweet spot, but we'll reevaluate as we go forward. And then what else have we got? I think that's it. I'm happy to answer any questions about the policy or program that you may have. And if you don't have anything, then we're just asking that you approve the draft policy and we can put it into effect for the July 1st fiscal year. And we will have an open enrollment period every May where people can reapply. Okay. And then it will run July to June.
Okay. Any public comment on this item? And I thank you for putting this together. Really well thought out.
Thank you for putting this together. I'm just confused because I've heard in the past the district has said that it is not possible to give people breaks on their bills. And so I'm wondering what has changed. And forgive me if that was spelled out in the report, but I didn't see it. It is curious to me, too, because the rates are based on the cost of service. And if you're reducing the rates for some but not everyone, then how is that equitable for everyone in terms of paying for the true cost of service?
Can I just clarify real quick?
Please.
I think it can't come from anything that involves rates. So this is only a specific pot of money that was coming in from penalties and fees that are not related to rates.
And okay, thank you for that clarifications. So from fees, then how are the fees calculated if you're going to build this assistance into it? Usually fees are calculated on cost of providing the service going forward, cost of installation, whatever. So I'm happy to see people getting a break. I really am. And $50 a month is a good help, especially to people on fixed income. I'm just curious what has changed and how the district is able to do this now when in the past it was not possible. Thank you.
President LaHue, I like how you mentioned that previously when we were considering a program, we were looking at our revenue that we collect, which is rate-based, and that was why we were under the original impression that we could not do a program. And then upon further kind of, I think, outreach that the Finance and Business Department did and identified some programs that we saw out there, we did look to see if that would be something that we could do here. And as you mentioned, since that funding isn't tied to Prop 218, it does allow us to provide such a program like San Lorenzo Valley, City of Santa Cruz, and others in our area, as well as, further out in California.
Just took a little extra effort in searching for a way to make it work, right? So, questions from the board?
Well, it's just a general question. The county as a whole is engaged in building lots of affordable housing. I would say, so there could be an increase once all these are completed and people are in them. I would say that would be probably the most likely source of applicants.
One of the criteria is that that it be in an individually metered residence. And I don't know how much of what the county is doing and putting in at this time is going to be individually metered, or if they're going to be multi-residential units.
So then, that's interesting. So, I'm trying to think of one of the things that are going up now. They are not. It's not designed. They're not paying the fee. It's a central fee at the building.
Correct.
The building.
For instance, like a mobile home park.
Yeah.
Would maybe have some residents that would qualify, but they don't pay the water bill. The mobile home park pays the water bill. And so they are not individually metered. They don't have individual service charges. They have a service charge for a larger meter that goes into the mobile home park, and then that's allocated to each unit within the park. So since they don't pay the bill, it's very difficult to give them a credit on their bill.
Yep. It is. But this is a really good effort anyway.
Yeah. You have something?
The idea is fantastic. I do think there are a lot of requirements, and it seems to me that it really leaves out older people who are not digitally savvy, and that people often who don't use auto pay, they have cash flow problems. And I also feel like it could be, leaving out maybe the people that hurt the most. And I feel like maybe it needs a tiny bit more precision, or maybe a broadening rather, not precision, sorry, like kind of more of a broadening rather than just the CalSNAP and all the different things. I'm not sure how to do it exactly. I love how you started it. I just think, I don't know, I think the people that are hurting the most might not be most affected by it.
I'm not sure if people who qualify or enrolled in the PG&E Care or the SNAP program necessarily have to apply and then get, I think, identified as a recipient of that program. So in terms of technology, they may be able to apply for that without having to go digital, Or is that just digital?
One of the things that we put in there is that we would like to see them enrolled in our Water Smart program. Yeah, because that's how they can control their water bill and their costs, is by being aware of how much water they're using.
I like that idea, but I also was just one question for me is just what's the outreach going to look like?
So we are going to go ahead. I know that Becca already has an article queued up for her water wisdom column.
A draft.
A draft that she will be putting out. And then we will probably do direct outreach efforts, either a bill insert or other efforts, put it on the website, put it on our bill notifications. So we'll do a lot of outreach around it here starting almost immediately so that we have people enrolling in May. And then we're going to reevaluate mid-year. So if we do find that some of those things are a barrier to participation and then we're not reaching people because of it, then we can bring that back and reevaluate that at that time.
Right. Motions or?
Do we need a motion? I will second it.
All right. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Abstain.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see. Next item is to get some feedback on our water shortage contingency plan. Alyssa, I think you're up for introducing that, and I know you've worked hard on it. Go ahead. And Spencer maybe too, or no? We'll see if
Good evening, everybody. We do have a presentation, so we're trying to get that set up, but hopefully we're able to start soon.
waiting
Can
for
you see the screen? Those on the online? No. I need to stop sharing. I'm sharing. Yeah. Thank you. Can Alyssa control it on her side? You tell me, and I will be your controller.
Okay, so our first item, or our item here is 6.3 to receive feedback on the components of our draft 2025 water shortage contingency plan. And so we just have a couple of slides to go through just to give context as to what the contingency plan is, since it's been a while since we did a refresh of it. And then to go through our main drivers for some of the changes we're proposing, some brief justification for some of the changes to trigger conditions, and a little conversation about the baseline. And the purpose of the meeting tonight is not to change our current shortage stage declaration. This is just to get feedback on the framework that we've proposed as part of the full draft plan. And so that will be brought back to the board as part of the draft urban water management plan in May. And so the water shortage contingency plan is, and one thing I should mention, we do have two people on the phone that are available to help us answer any questions that come up. One being Spencer Waterman from Water Systems Consulting, and the other being Cameron Tana from Montgomery and Associates. They were both very helpful in preparing this. So the water shortage contingency plan is a chapter of the urban water management plan, and we're currently in the process of doing our 2025 plan. And the water shortage contingency plan is a chapter in that, but it's also used yearly to inform our annual water shortage stage assessment. And so that's when we get the opportunity every year to look at the conditions regarding our water supply and decide what shortage stage might be appropriate. And the plan is meant to be consistent, actionable framework to assess those water shortage conditions. And it has prescriptive steps to manage and mitigate that actual shortage condition. And so the contingency plan that we have been operating under is the 2020 plan, and the trigger conditions are what we are assessing every year to decide if that shortage stage is present. And the conditions that we were using, number one was rainfall totals. That was a 5-year rainfall. And that was tied to recharge. There was also a production shortfall, so that's used in the case that our infrastructure is not able to meet demand for some reason. And then the third was a groundwater overdraft and seawater intrusion. And that was kind of a two-part. We were looking every year at the minimum threshold exceedances of representative monitoring points, and that's based on the annual report from the GSP. And so that's if we have an exceedance for chloride concentration or are below certain groundwater elevations. And so we had it set up like if we had 5 that didn't meet that limit, we would be in a stage 3 that kind of thing. We also had early management action triggers that they were kind of things that may have been on the way to being an exceedance. And so if those were activated and unaddressed, they could also serve as a trigger condition. And the baseline, this is an important thing to remember, is that our baseline for this contingency plan was 3,900 acre feet per year. And so that was based off of our previous demand projections. And so what that means is if we declared a 25% shortage stage, the percent reduction we were asking for was 25% of 3,900 acre feet. And that is high compared to what our production has been in the last 5 years. We've been a lot closer to like 3,000 acre feet per year. And so we are proposing adjustments of the baseline based on our newer demand projections as part of this change. So one of the big things that's changed since our last plan is Pure Water Soquel. So, if we're thinking of our water supply as a bank, we are no longer just making withdrawals, now we're making deposits. And so that is a big consideration when we're looking at the actions that can change our water supply. We're no longer solely relying on our customers to reduce their usage. And so the goals with that in mind for this new contingency plan is we want it to be thorough. We want to make sure that we're bringing you the information that you need every year and you feel that you've received everything you need to make a decision, but also flexible so that we could declare a shortage stage, which impacts our customers' ability to use water if necessary, but we are considering now the operation of Pure Water Soquel and other things we could do like pumping redistribution. And then the third is consistent. We want to use existing reports and information so that information that we're bringing you for this item is consistent with the annual report, consistent with other things we're we have for pure water, that kind of thing. So the triggers that we're proposing, the first one is groundwater conditions not progressing towards or maintaining sustainability. And so the idea on this one is that we would activate it if groundwater conditions are not responding to our efforts to manage basin health. And we think that for this one, we would be utilizing hydrogeology consultants to interpret results and determine if a pumping reduction would be the most appropriate thing to call a shortage. The next one is net pumping. And so this is taking the amount of water that our customers are pulling out and that we are putting in. It's calculating the net pumping. And so this trigger would be if we are in excess of a net pumping target of 2,400 acre feet per year.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Now,
Mhm.
I'm just so since the overall, what was it was 3,250, 3,250 acre feet was the baseline.
Yeah, that is the new baseline.
So then, if this is the net, then are we assuming like 850 acre feet from Pure Water Soquel?
Yeah, so that's the idea, is that every year we would take what we are pumping out and then what we are putting in to make sure that we're able to meet that net pumping target.
Okay, thanks. I just want to make sure.
The next is a production-related shortage. So this is similar to the trigger condition in the last one. And so this is if we're having operational problems that's jeopardizing our ability to meet peak demand. So it could be a short-term thing. The contingency plan, you can declare a shortage stage based on a short-term or a long-term condition. And so this is really to do if, our infrastructure can't meet the need. And then the last one is rainfall, and we're not proposing that as a real prescriptive trigger, but we still do want to bring you the information every year to help you inform your decision. And so baseline reduction is the other thing I alluded to earlier, that there's a 2020 water shortage contingency plan column, and that's where you can see under that 3,900 acre feet per year baseline, a stage 3 25% reduction, which is what we've been operating under, resulted in a production target of 2,925 acre feet. And so we've been fairly close to that, operating under a stage 3. But under the proposed new baseline, which is recognizing that our customers have done an amazing job conserving water, and we've really been able to bring our baseline use down, a stage 3 under that scenario would be just over 2,400 acre feet. And for some context, our use last year was, I think, 3,049 acre feet. So as I mentioned earlier, we're not looking to have you make a decision tonight about anything influencing the next half of the year. That is expected to come in June once we have adopted a full contingency plan. Then we could bring you this information and you could make a declaration at that time. And so I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have, and Spencer and Cameron are also available.
Great, thank you. Any public comment on this item?
Thank you, Becky Steinbrenner. I don't understand why you cannot go to stage 2. Because if water use baseline is now 3,250, and you subtract 1,500 acre feet, which is what Pure Water Soquel is supposedly injecting, then it gets you to a lower number. And I think that that qualifies to be able to be adjusted to a stage 2. I also want to ask, how do the rates, current rates, reflect Tier 3? It's my recollection when there was a rate increase hearing here, Mr. Jimmy Canizaro stood up and said, you've got these emergency Tier 3 rates baked into the whole thing. So how does that affect your rates, what tier level you're in? And I submit to you that you do reduce it to Tier 2. Thank you.
Questions, comments from the board?
Yeah, just a couple quick comments. I think the approach overall of lowering that acre feet baseline is fantastic. That's just great. Obviously, it's helpful. And approving how the broader context of dealing with groundwater sustainability, it just gives so much more subjectivity, which I think is important at this time because it's so complex. I looked at Monterey's approach, and they have 4 triggers. They have the physical trigger, production trigger, regulatory trigger, and emergency trigger. So it doesn't quite fit into ours, but I thought that was kind of interesting. Thank you for all that work.
Actually, I don't want to talk right now.
So I still am just, I like your whole approach. I think it's good. I know that we'll still want to focus for myself and maybe others that groundwater conditions are going to be a primary thing, that we are seeing what we're expecting to see with Pure Water Soquel before we go too far along here. So I hope there's some flexibility with this. But it sounds like we're going to involve a hydrogeologist each year to say, hey, here's where we are and here's what I recommend, right?
Yeah, definitely. Because, at any given year, there may be certain representative monitoring points that it wouldn't be helpful for us to reduce usage overall for that specific point. And so that's where that kind of nuance can get explored.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, for sure.
Maybe, it seems a little bit simplistic. Really, we're going to be monitoring, there's the different things, the stages, and then there's how we operate. And part of it would be if we see in one area that the groundwater levels are getting really low, we don't pump there, we pump somewhere else. And we're going to be modifying that too. And so in my mind, it's kind of, just a number right now, that we're calling it this to establish stages, and it's a whole different ball game than what we did before. So maybe like Monterey has different standards, or different descriptions, that we may be wanting to look at how we're going to evolve, because what we developed 20 years ago may not be what we need now for determining what stage we're in. If that makes sense at all.
I think the feedback on that for the district staff and for our consultants to receive is that, the aim of the water shortage contingency plan is to be transparent. So as Alyssa mentioned, we would be bringing this back each year and be flexible and have adaptation with the different strategies. Tonight we're presenting the trigger conditions, and then from the trigger conditions, it kind of goes into what you were mentioning, which are the actions that go into each stage. So if there is a stage that is declared, what are the actionable steps that would be required either through operations or through rates? There is the ability, if you do call a stage declaration, that the less water sales would have to trigger emergency rates, which we have not done in the past. But those, I think, are the while this is simple, it's tiered and multi-layered. And I do think that we have looked at, and I know Alyssa and both Cameron and Spencer had looked at many different water contingency plans that are prepared and implemented, and each one is different. I think obviously based on the conditions of that agency and their, community.
I think you've just gotten some individual feedback, and I don't know that.
I'll just chime in.
Yes, yeah, go for it.
I just wanted to say I like the trigger conditions actually, and I like the flexibility of those, and I like including the rainfall totals, even though we have gotten over the past 12 years I've been here, we were always challenging them and complaining about them, but I wouldn't like to do too much until we really find out the long-term benefits for Pure Water Soquel, see how that changes the dynamic in our aquifer. But I think this is a really good approach.
I think if for someone who's been around for a while, I mean, it was all rainfall before.
Yeah.
And so I think we've come a long way. And so I think, this is another step. But I think everyone will appreciate the subtleties of our area and where we need to pump, and also to be able to look at it every year. So I think good.
I think that one thing is, we went into this recognizing that the next couple of years with Pure Water being a new project it's going to be something we want flexibility on, and we're hoping that this framework gives us the teeth we need, but also the flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
You good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Cameron and Spencer.
Thanks for your work.
Thank you.
So let's see. So now it is time to move to closed session. Is there anyone that has? Oh yeah, you're right. Boy, it's a good thing somebody's here to remind me of that. Item 4.2, I forgot. So let's go back to 4.2. It is hard when can't do them in order. I wish we could just do them at the time. So I'm the one that asked to pull that item. So let's see. Yeah. So I had a question about whether it would make sense to look at designs for a longer term plan for the West Annex property before proceeding with temporary things. As far as, I don't know if any of the temporary things would be in the way of anything further for a sensible use of that. But that was my one worry. Is it kind of getting the cart before the horse, before the whole thing's planned?
It's a good question. I'll answer it. None of the temporary activities are going to get in the way of the future use. And it's really a time situation with losing the Bonita well site. And this, we didn't go into a lot of detail here, but it's basically digging a dirt pit. So there's we're not building concrete. We're not doing a ton of, permanent structures. We will be adding a gate, but that doesn't interfere with a long-term use. It's actually something we will hopefully keep in place.
I know some other folks had questions about this one.
Taj, I had two quick questions on that. One is, will the vac truck wet soil staging area go back to the Bonita Chrome 6
No.
after? Like, what's going to happen after to it?
It will ideally stay at the West Annex.
Okay, so it's just moved once. Okay, thanks. And then also, I was wondering, what is the full life cycle cost for that site? And has the board received a plan and a budget for it, or did I miss that?
The long-term plans,
Yeah.
you have not seen that yet.
Okay.
And that will be brought to you as we first get this temporary situation in place.
Okay.
But after that, we'll definitely engage probably a working group and, you know.
Okay. And then I have one last question. I've been back there sort of, and I looked at the map really carefully and I Google Earthed it, but all the vegetation that's coming out is just a bunch of scrub bushes. I don't think there's any trees, but I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, we're not planning to remove any trees at this time.
Okay. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you.
Well, I just had this comment from a neighbor.
I'm sorry, Carla. We might need to remove a few trees for the gates in between our existing site and the West Annex. So I stand corrected. There may be a few smaller trees that need to be removed in order to get access from our existing yard.
I saw those sliding gates on the map. So they're not live oak trees, though. What kind of trees are they? Okay. So there are trees that are going to be removed.
I haven't identified which ones they are, but there are a few.
Okay. No redwoods.
No redwoods along that boundary.
No native trees.
No redwoods along that boundary. There might be one oak tree.
Might be an oak. Okay.
But I don't know exactly where they line up with the gate.
Okay, well, I'm sure you will do the best to love the trees and be environmentally friendly as you make the gates. Okay, thank you. I trust you.
Carla.
Oh, thanks. Since the Capitola Avenue got reopened, I think this is just a comment from a neighbor that the chain link fence and the tarp has frayed and just has a lousy look. That was their comment. I haven't actually checked it myself. I haven't really driven up there very often.
That's a fair comment.
Yeah, so I was thinking if there are any other plans, is there a landscaping, because it is in a residential neighborhood. Thanks.
Probably part of the
long-term plan would include more, obviously, it's a temporary fence right now, and landscaping. Yeah, so that would, I guess, if we're going to have a long-term plan for the development of that with sequences, maybe we should consider the perimeter as one of the priorities. We can do a phase 1.5 and implement some landscaping. It's currently not in our budget. I know there's been other suggestions for solar and maybe a better boundary between the residents to the south. We have that in our minds, but we just haven't executed that or brought it to you for consideration.
I know it was closed for such a long time. Who saw it?
Yeah, it's sat vacant for several years, and then Granite Construction is using it currently.
All right, so it would require a motion to authorize the funds from OCR.
I'll make a motion to approve. Is it 4.2?
Wait, there's no comment.
Public comment.
We had public comment on all the consent items at the beginning of the consent, didn't we?
This one's
But go ahead.
Thank you, Becky Steinbrenner. I remember why the district bought this property, and it was to possibly build a sewage treatment plant as a source of water for the Pure Water Soquel project. You met great resistance from the neighborhood and changed your plans. So that's why the district bought this property initially. The property had a house, and that tenant was evicted and the house was demolished. It was devastating for the neighborhood. It was devastating for them. And so I'm happy that the district has been able to make some money ostensibly or hopefully by having it used as a staging area. But my question to you is, does the district really need all of that land for a yard, an equipment yard? Do you really need that much? I submit to you that you consider building housing, maybe worker housing on part of it. And it would help the county's housing shortage. It would maybe help your employees. But I want to know what level of environmental review this project will have to create a dirt swale and bringing in if vacuumed soils from another source, I think it needs to be examined and allow the public a chance to see what is planned and how the land would be used, and any environmental projects. Removing trees, as you know, is a sensitive environmental thing, especially if it's done incorrectly and if there are nesting birds. So I hope there will be some level of environmental review. But again, I want to suggest that you consider housing, workforce housing, on at least part of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve 4.2 from the
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
I
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. And then now, sorry that I jumped the gun before, but we will be going into closed session. And if there's any comments on closed session before we go that way, now would be the time.
Thank you, Becky Steinbruner. I cannot say much, but I just want to let you know that I'm not trying to be difficult. I just need to understand the terms. And with that, I'll say thank you and hope that we can work this out. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, so maybe a 5-minute break while we
That sounds
get
great.
ready.
Thank you.
None of us are used to. I know, I must be. Bunch of whims.